Evening all. Tonight's topic of conversation is the idea of trying to kill a team with kindness. I've said before that I am a certain type of coach and have a very different approach and maybe a bit of an abrasive approach when it comes to my coaching. And actually what I've realised over the past couple of weeks is sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes the message doesn't quite hit home the way that you want it to. So in that situation, well, what do you do? How do you change that? So I think there's a few things to kind of remember. As a coach, be prepared to be adaptable and take on feedback. I am not the best person in the world at taking on feedback. Criticism is something that really can rile me up at times, but done in a constructive and a well constructed way is really, really important. That's why kind of at the club we have other coaches, we have a senior sort of players pool that I would go to and ask for advice, and we have an open door policy in terms of the fact that if they think something's not working or something needs to be changed, then they can come to me. This is not a dictatorship. I don't rule with an iron fist. I want to work with the guys to make sure that we are all on brand, we're all on page, and we're all pulling in the same direction. And that means for me as well. And if there's things that I'm doing wrong or that our approach is not going quite well, I have to take that on the chin and I have to adapt, I have to change. And the past couple of weeks has been difficult because we've not quite been playing the way that I wanted to. And my approach has been to really hammer down on the boys, but actually the realisation is that you can't just keep knocking people's confidence and telling them all the things that they're not doing correctly. Sometimes you've got to praise what they are doing correctly and try and help them build back up that confidence. So we made a real concerted effort over the past couple of weeks to try and focus on the positive side of things, not on the negative side of things. And it comes back to what I've spoken about quite a lot is, for me, it's mistakes in games. And actually for me, it was the realisation that mistakes in games are going to happen. They're always going to happen. And what we decided to do was concentrate on the reaction to a mistake, not the mistake itself. Because since the start of the year and through pre-season, what we've been trying to do is fix the mistake. What's been going wrong? Can we fix the mistake? And actually that leads to this idea that you are trying to chase perfection, and perfection will never happen. It will never ever happen on a rugby field, and that makes it really difficult because of course you want to play to your best, of course you want things to be perfect, but that's not going to happen in any circumstance. And what happens is you end up chasing that perfection, and then you become frustrated and annoyed and angry at the fact that you're not hitting that perception. So what you have to work with is this idea that mistakes will happen, but actually what's most important is how you react to them. So the sort of phrase that we've been using sort of last week was next job. Okay, mistake's been made, next job, what are you doing next? Move on to that. And that goes for things that go right, and that goes for things that go wrong. Don't get too high, don't get too low, play in the middle, play calm where you can, and then brilliant, something's gone well. Okay, something's not gone quite so well. Next job, move on. Let's keep going. Let's play that full 80 minutes together. And I think what was really powerful over the past couple of weeks was just this realisation of why I do this, why we do this. And actually coaching is a privilege, not a chore. And I think for the past couple of weeks, when results haven't been going our way, and unfortunately we haven't been playing the way that I want us to, or have an expectation that we will, it really does kind of hit home. And you think, what was the point? I had a conversation with one of the other coaches and said, look, why, what are we doing here? And his response was, well, when it's good, it's brilliant. When it's not so good, it's hard work. And I think it is just that realisation that not everything's going to be perfect, not everything's going to be great all the time, but actually it's a privilege to be in the position that we are, and actually coach these guys. And I think it's really a realisation that actually there is a generation between me and some of the guys that are playing in that squad at the moment. There is a whole different approach to rugby, to life, to beliefs, to the way that they handle stuff, and what works for me and some of the other coaches might not work for the younger boys. And actually it's proved that it doesn't work for some of the younger boys. So you have to find a common ground and a different way to work with them as well. So actually it was moving back to that idea of, why do we do this? We played rugby and we coached rugby for enjoyment, for fun, and trying to get that positive reinforcement has been really, really important these past couple of weeks of trying to work through that in a different way, moving away from my traditional model of, highlighting the mistakes, trying to change the mistakes, trying to fix the mistakes. Now, what we're trying to do is focus on the fun and the enjoyment element, because actually, if you're enjoying what you're doing, you've got a smile on your face, the likelihood is that actually your performance is going to improve, and therefore the results potentially are going to improve as well. And thankfully, the really good news is that actually we got the job done at the weekend, and I'm really, really proud of the fellas. Both myself, the players, the other coaches really embrace this idea of focusing on the positive side of things and really working with those. So the chat was positive, everything around the sort of start of the game, the middle of the game, the chat from the sideline, everything was kind of positive, even though there were still a few mistakes in the game. And what kind of happened was it was a brilliant build-up of the team working together, not getting too high, not getting too low, not having this sort of infighting and frustration build, and you really saw them grow in confidence through the game. And it was brilliant. And yes, we went behind, and which is obviously adversity, but which really tested that change of approach. Can we stay positive in the most difficult circumstances? And I'm really glad to say that we did, and came out of that with a bonus point for tries and came out with the win as well. So for us, it was fantastic to see that we can make those changes, and ultimately that those changes can also have an impact. So is anybody out there, any other coaches, have had to sort of change their approaches, had to adapt what they're doing currently to try and work with the players currently that they have? Might not work for everybody, but sometimes it works for some people. So if you have, drop me a note, leave a comment, send us a message, whatever you'd like to do. That'd be great to kind of hear from you. Have you had to adapt some of your coaching approaches that you had as a player or as a coach with other teams to who you're currently working with now?